We are back at it. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. We are continuing on with our Tales of Graces grind. Let's keep it going. Let's see if we can get these titles maxed out and move on with the story. I do wonder, like, what these Trials of Graces says. Load up your save data and use your current party to challenge special battles unavailable. Let's see. Let's load up our current party and let's look at these. Oh, we could get a longsword. That would help us. I haven't unlocked this Trials. Oh, so like you can't unlock some of these until you progress in the story? Yeah. Alright, well, let's knock these out. Alright. We just hit that guy for like 17,000 damage.
Great work, Captain.
You're not doing so bad there yourself, Asbel.
And Malik just stood there. Does it reward it more than once? I wonder. Let's go see. Because if I can get a couple longswords, we might be able to unlock some actual titles.
We will survive. Let's keep moving.
And he's live, and I'm live, and welcome back to the stream. Where there's this like challenge menu, so I want to see something, because if I can unlock multiple items, or like get the prize multiple times off of these off of this challenge menu, I can unlock some other titles that I need to get.
We won't fail.
Okay, so we only get the reward once. But that gives us another weapon that we can play around with. So we'll load this up. When you earn a new title, pull up the titles menu and take a look. Alright. So then if I go here, we should have a longsword now, which is I think what Asbel already has equipped, right? Yeah. But what you can do is we can infuse it, and then once it's infused, sell it at like a +1 or whatever, and then if we do that 20 times, that will I'll unlock a new title. Got distracted there for and how's it going today? How's everything on your end?
Stay sharp, even against
You won't live to regret this. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Stay sharp, even against
No one can stand before my blade.
I also wonder if there's like super bosses in that menu that I can't access yet because I haven't progressed in the story.
You won't live to regret this. I'll keep on getting stronger.
Going alright, better than yesterday. We got our boiler and water pipes fixed today. Been like this since. Oh shit, dude. Glad to hear that you got it fixed though. That's awesome. Was it because of the freeze?
It won't take long. Let's keep moving. It won't take long. Okay. Next. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. It won't take long. Drop. Die. Fall. Victory is ours.
How many times will we use lightning strike? 720. And I still don't have a title for Lightning Strike, do I? I got a master title. No one, yes. My dumbass dad caused it and blamed the pipes when we were told about a freeze warning the night before. He broke the boiler, then busted the pipes. Oh, shit. That's never good.
Won't take long. Draw. Fall. Miss. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. This won't take long. Draw. Die. Fall. We won't fail.
We're just gonna Lightning Strike until we get to 1,000 uses of Lightning Strike. The man refused to pay a single cent for the boiler. I paid most of it. You're a good man.
Won't take long. Draw. Die. Fall. Let's keep moving.
Stay sharp, even against
Okay. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
I've been there. I get it, man. Shit can be rough sometimes. Growing up as kids, there were times where like, so we never got like a lot for, you know, like throughout the year. Like my mom really tried to focus on like birthdays and Christmas and try to make those like as special as we could because our dads weren't around, and mainly they didn't really pay child support. They were pretty fucking scummy ass people. And so my mom worked like 3 or 4 jobs and did what she had to do to make sure things were where things needed to be. So like games and stuff like that, we never really got those. Partly why I shoplifted like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic cards and stuff all the time. But the other reason, so we would get stuff for Christmas or whatever, and she'd work these 3 or 4 jobs, but sometimes she still couldn't pay rent, or we still needed money for certain bills. So I would like one year for Christmas, all I wanted was a PS2. Like all I wanted was a PS2, just so I could play Kingdom Hearts. Like I was so obsessed with Kingdom Hearts that the commercials for Kingdom Hearts would come on, and I would stop dead in my tracks. Whatever I was doing, I would just freeze just to watch the commercials for Kingdom Hearts. So I got a PS2 for Christmas. Not sure how my mom pulled it off. Not sure like what it took for her to get that for us for Christmas, but we got a PS2 for Christmas. And then, in January we needed money for rent and stuff, and so I did what I had to do, and I took it across the street to the pawn shop, put it on pawn, got the money, and slowly paid it off as I could. And luckily that pawn shop was really cool and worked with me as a kid, to make sure that I wouldn't lose the stuff. But yeah, I get it. I get having to like, those situations and what you have to do, and I did everything I could to get it done, and then I'm here now being a kid, and I'm pretty selfish with my money and like to spend my money on stupid shit these days, like Power Rangers helmets. So I lost a few DS games. Yeah, so before my current partner, before I met Ashley, the person that I was dating, I had a pretty decent retro gaming collection. I had a really nice custom modded Dreamcast, so I could play like burned games and things like that. I had a ton of Dreamcast games. I had a ton of Super Nintendo games. Like I had a really decent little retro collection going. And then when I found out she was cheating on me, and we split up, I moved back in with my mom, and I didn't have a job at the time and needed to help my mom with rent and stuff, so I had to sell off my retro collection, and I will probably never get a chunk of that stuff back. But we're getting there. Like, did what I had to do. We paid rent and stuff like that. I fell very heavily into World of Warcraft depression, where for like 18 hours a day, all I did was play World of Warcraft. Got a job eventually at a Blockbuster, met Ashley, and now I'm here today. I missed some of those games that I'll probably never be able to get my hands on again, but I've gotten other ones that I don't think I'd ever dreamed of being able to find. Like last year, so not 2024, but 2023, for Christmas 2023, Ashley got me 2 of my grails, like my all-time NES grails for Christmas. Bucky O'Hare on the NES, and Monsters in My Pocket. So I may have lost some games, and you know the time spent, data set spent. Like there's Pokemon games that at the price point they're at now, like I'm better off trying to steal those shits. But you know I got other games that like I probably never would have been able to find had I not, if I wasn't where I am now. There's probably some ROMs and some ISOs we can work out just to play on stream. I do have most of the NES, SNES, Sega, Game Boy, Game Gear, so Genesis ROMs. I have those on an analog pocket that I spent hours trying to get all that set up. But there is some stuff that I don't have. Like there's PS1 games that I couldn't get ISOs for. Like I really want to play the old Digimon World games at some point, but I don't have the ISOs for those. And there's a couple others like weird RPGs that were on the PS1 that I would love to play through if I can get my chance to get my hands on them, like Dragon Seed and Monster Seed. The Monster Rancher games, I have the remakes of those on the Switch, so I can play those through the Switch. But man, some of those games were fucking wild. Like, I loved weird, like, off-brand PlayStation games, because we were poor, and those were the games we would get. You're like, hey, I want Final Fantasy, and you'd get fucking great value Final Fantasy, and you liked it, and that's what we did. What I do need to find, though, I need to find, here in Texas, here where we live, some good media stores in general. We've been to, like, Half Price Books, and they're okay, and we've been to Second and Charles, which isn't too far from us, which is okay. But like for like used Blu-ray or like just Blu-rays and like used Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff in general, like I have not been able to find like a really, really good place to keep growing that collection. We have a store not too far from us, I'd say good maybe 45 minutes, called Game Over. They had some good stuff. I picked up I have not seen a Fry's Electronics out where we are. I should probably look and see where the closest one is. But if we have one, I will definitely go check them out. We have a Micro Center like an hour and 45 minutes away from us. So when I need to go buy some stuff for the server during tax, like once I get my taxes and stuff back, we'll be heading out that way. Back in Utah, where we lived up until recently, we had a place called Gray Whale. So we had Gray Whale and Entertainment, and both of those we would go by and pick up and buy our stuff from. And there's supposedly an Entertainment like an hour and a half away from us. So I'm debating on if we want to try and drive out there or not. The Digimon ISOs for hell yeah. Those I'm excited to play. We'll have fun with those. Because I never got a chance to play. Like, I've played the most recent ones on the Switch. So the Detective and then the World, the new Digimon World. And they're not bad. They're games we could probably jump into at some point. I have such a huge list of like games for us to stream that I'm like super excited to just stream through these games and see where things are going. I don't know. I also have the Baten Kaitos. I don't know if you ever played Baten Kaitos, but I picked those up on the Switch. And then I have one of the Baten Kaitoses on GameCube as well. I don't remember which one. And I don't know if you saw recently, I don't know if you ever played them back in the day,
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Sega has copyrighted Skies of Arcadia again, so we may be getting a Skies of Arcadia remake.
Victory is ours.
Hold on, I didn't see something, because I feel like Bro was just standing. Yeah, because everything is turned off. God damn it. Oh. Glacial Rain. I have the ISOs for the... but that's one where I want to play officially. The Skies of Arcadia. I had the ISO as well. I was trying to run it on Dolphin, and it did not run very well when I first tried to do it way back in the day. I don't know if it's been improved or not. Bro's got one other title for us to level up, and then he's done. We've mastered every title that Malik has so far. Unless I switch off. It runs almost every... Yeah, and the way that they found, like, where they found or how they found it, kind of what was holding it back. I can't remember exactly which game, but it wasn't a game that, like, anybody really expected them to find, like, the missing piece of the
That
puzzle.
was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
But I have not tried Dolphin since probably 2015.
Won't take long. Okay, next. Victory is ours.
But if there's some good RPGs on Dolphin, I'll run through those too. Oh, it runs well with no issues now. Yeah, I remember reading, I want to say like 2 years ago, a couple years ago, that they had finally cracked it. I'm hoping that I can someday get to a point where I can share one of my all-time favorite RPGs. There we go. How many times do we have to use Lightning Strike to get the Lightning Strike Master title? Let's look. 800 times. We had to use Lightning Strike 800 times. And I'm hoping that someday I will be able to share my favorite RPG on stream. Hopefully, like, Square Enix does a full-on remaster, like some of these other games. They just find a way to bring it back, or I can find a way to make it work, because it does not work on Windows 10 and 11 very well. And that is Last Remnant. Last Remnant is one of the coolest fucking RPGs I've ever played. It was definitely Square experimenting with, like, the Unreal Engine and trying to see, like, what they could do with it. And did I not dualize these? Uh-oh. And, like, the game was just wild. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with it, because the game came out on the 360 originally, back in, like, 2009. And my brother and I picked it up, and we were playing it. And at first we weren't about it, because the combat system and, like, the way that your character and, like, the character growth system is very, very weird. Like, it's very off-putting, and it takes some getting used to kind of, like, try and figure out how things work. But there was a boss that we got, and the boss scales at a certain level. So if you don't get to that boss within a certain amount of time, that boss is a very, very strong, almost super boss level style boss to fight. And there was a thing back in the day where you could text it. It's called Cha-Cha. And you could text them and ask them any question, and they would get you an answer. And we got banned from Cha-Cha because we text asking the best way to defeat the gates of hell. and they took hell as us swearing and banned us. Like, we were not allowed to text. They blocked our number and everything.
Won't take long. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
I have not actually looked at 360 emulation. I have not looked at anything of like that, the PS3 360 era in terms of emulation. When I look at emulation, I go back to like, so I haven't even looked at like PS2 or like Dreamcast emulation. I look purely at like PS1 backwards.
Let's keep moving.
I've also never tried Nintendo 64 emulation. I've heard Nintendo 64 emulation can be pretty rough. But if it's in a better spot now, I would love to play through like Paper Mario again, because that game was amazing. PS3 emulation is decent. PS2 emulation is near perfect, like GameCube. That's good to know. Xbox and 360 still need work. What about like Saturn? Because there's RPGs on the Sega Saturn that I've seen that would be kind of cool to like investigate, but the price points of like Saturn and stuff just does not seem like it would be worth it to invest in. Like, if I were to start doing Sega Saturn streaming, I would absolutely have to have made like partner and be making like mad ad money for some of those RPGs to like justify it.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. It won't take long. You won't live to regret anything. We won't fail.
Some games are iffy, like Burning Rangers stutters and freezes both video and audio. Oof. Yeah, that sounds rough.
It won't take long. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
But they're playable? I mean, playable is good.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Because that puts it in a state where at least it's preservable, like, and there, so it can be preserved and experienced, and then people can improve upon it as they go.
Victory is ours.
Oh, so we used to have, so in Utah, we had a retro gaming
Won't take long.
expo. At first, it was every quarter, so it would go on every season. You know, summer, winter, spring, fall. They would have a 2-day thing at this place. Yep, I agree. So long as we have the ROMs and the ISOs, it's all that matters.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
But this guy who owned a retro store out in Utah would hold this gaming expo yearly, and it used to be multiple times a year. Then it just went down to one time a year. But he extended out like the days and the hours and stuff. And they would get retro game people from all over the place there all the time. Really fun to go to. So I'm hoping I can find one of those here. But while I was there, the last time I went there, I actually managed to pick up, and normally I don't pick up like repros.
Hardly worth dirtying my blade.
I'm just not about like the repro and like repro prices, especially. Like, I shouldn't be paying you $70 for a reproduction cart of something. Like, I just disagree with that. But I did stop by one guy's booth and bought a reproduction of Clock Tower on the SNES, which is my all-time favorite survival horror series. The original Clock Tower was a point-and-click adventure. Very, very odd game. But man, was it a fucking cool game. I remember downloading a ROM of that back when I was in middle school.
That was hardly
And
worth
like,
dirtying my blade.
just going like, wow, this was a game that was on the Super Nintendo. Like, games could be like this, or there's been so many times where I've looked at like what a game is and been like, oh damn, I never thought like games could be like this. Like Dark Souls changed how I looked at games. Hollow Knight changed how I looked at games. As a matter of fact, not many people get to see this, but I have my Hollow Knight right here because it was Hollow Knight that we were streaming when I first got affiliate. And so when I had the opportunity to get the tattoo, I went and got my Hollow Knight tattoo.
Victory is ours.
And Hollow Knight will probably be one of those games that just always sticks with me. Like, that game was so visually amazing. It's rough. It's a hard game. Like, if you're gonna play Hollow Knight, prepare yourself for a learning curve.
No one can stand
I would say, think Dark Souls, because at the end of it's very Dark Souls like. In terms of like difficulty and like how bosses work and things like that. But it's like a brilliant Metroidvania for like exploration, and just visually, like, the art is amazing.
That was hardly worth
I hate using the term like Dark Souls like, or like, oh, this is the Dark Souls of Mario games. This is the Dark Souls. Like, I think it's such a dumb thrown around topic.
moving.
Like, I hate the whole like, oh, this is the Dark Souls of Pokemon, blah 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 blah, and so it bugs me to use the term, but like, Hollow Knight is definitely the Dark Souls of Metroidvania. Like, it is like the first Dark Souls of like Metroidvania.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Also, Metroidvania is so fucking weird because only a few Castlevania games are really like
No one can stand before my
what we would look at like Metroidvania as now. Yeah, it's like I wouldn't look at like the Nintendo 64 Castlevania games and be like, oh, these are definitely part of those like Metroidvania games. Same with like Legacy of Darkness, the like PS3, Xbox 360 era ones, or even the PS2 era ones. Like, definitely didn't feel like a Metroid, like what I would look at as like a modern Metroidvania. Symphony of the Night, one of my all-time favorites. Played the hell out of that game. I could do a Symphony of the Night run probably in my sleep. Like, I've played it that many times.
ours.
Yeah, the GBA ones, I've only played, so let's see.
Dirtying my blade.
The only one I've finished on the Game Boy Advance was Circle of the Moon. I never got a chance to play the other two, and then I never played any of the DS ones.
That was hard.
I did play the 360 PS3 ones where I think it's like the story of Dracula more than anything else. So I played those ones. Those are alright. But those were definitely more like God of War like, yeah.
Won't take long.
I would love to get like a modern day Castlevania going. Like, let's get like a cool Castlevania in the vein of like God of War like it is now, or like Spider-Man like it is now. Like, if we could get them to bring back Castlevania in the way that they've done some other titles like Horizon,
We're dirtying my
that would be sick.
Stay sharp, even against
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Stay sharp, even against
No one can stand before my blade.
What level are we? Almost level 40. Played one on my Switch, the first game on 64, part of the second 64 game. 1 GBA for a minute, I think that's it, in the DS game. The first 64 game, you could actually skip. If you played the first 64 game, you've played the second 64 game. The second 64 game was basically a remaster in Japan, and it added some secret characters. Is about all it did differently between the two. And the second one is the only one we ever played on the 64. My brother and I had that one, and we played the hell out of it. It took us a very long time to figure out the game and figure out like how to play it and what we were doing. But man, we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah, the werewolf guy. I remember like we would spend hours. There was a spot in the very beginning of the game where you have to like jump. You have to do some light platform. Well, light platform. You have to do some platforming to get to a certain point, and we would spend hours just trying to complete that platforming part because there were spots where like we would end up falling to our death so many times. But we finally beat it. It took us a long ass time, but we finally beat it. What else? What other games did we play a lot on the N64? Paper Mario. Kirby 64, we played that one for a while. GoldenEye, we would play GoldenEye to an extent. We would find a spot and set off an alarm so that enemies kept coming, and we would just see how many enemies we could stack, basically, in a pile. That was basically the extent of our GoldenEye playing. Mario Kart, we did the Zeldas. I don't think we ever finished Majora's Mask. I remember we played it and we were kind of like not feeling it, but we played the hell out of Ocarina of Time. Donkey Kong. Castlevania has the potential to be great in this era if they did gameplay like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry. Yeah, dude, Devil May Cry, like a new Castlevania with like the Devil May Cry. I think a Castlevania with a little bit more sandbox to it, but structured sandbox, if that makes sense. Like, I think a new Castlevania would be cool if it allowed you to explore outside of the castle, kind of like Castlevania 2 did, Simon's Quest did, because you weren't entirely in the castle for that one. So if it handled some of the stuff in the way that like the Lords of Darkness games did, where you were out more in the world, but it was still structured to a point so that you're not like going crazy and not actually achieving anything. So, you know, certain exploration points where you can see, oh, like this, if I go through these exploration, then I can upgrade the whip or I can upgrade this. But it might kind of like lock how your character is built so that you can build as like in the anime and stuff, you know, a seer, so you could build a full magic builder, you could build a Belmont, and you know, get Belmont artifacts, and certain bosses you have to go fight to unlock to get into the castle. And if they did it in a way kind of like that, I think it would be really cool. The issue I see is vertical traveling. I think they could figure something out. I think we have mastered all of the titles that Malik has at this point. Yeah. Oh. That's the only one left. Calamity Rondo. And how much on yours? So you've almost mastered that one. And then we've got all of these still to go. And all of those still to go. We're getting there, though. We're getting pretty close to being done with this challenge run. Yeah, yeah. Like I think that would be sick. I think it would be a lot of fun. It would definitely be better than a goddamn pachinko machine. That's for sure.
Won't take long. Okay. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Stay sharp.
If you built it out with the hubs, and you built it out a certain way, based it kind of off of the cartoon, so off of the Netflix series, so that you could like say, hey, I'm gonna go fight fucking Elsbeth, or I'm gonna go do this, and it'll give me these rewards. But build the world in the same kind of world as, I'm blanking on the latest Zelda games. Then I think they could have something really solid there.
Won't take long. Okay. Let's keep moving.
Oh, Konami's been giving us the finger forever, man. They're like, oh, you guys want a new Castlevania? Here's Castlevania Mobile, launching absolutely nowhere anybody can play it.
Victory is ours.
Go for it.
Stay sharp.
No one can stand before my blade. Won't take long. You won't live to regret this. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. Won't take long. Okay. You won't live to, we won't fail.
Is your partner okay with you spending on things you love right now with games and comics? For the most part, yes. There was a while where I had a real problem with spending, and some of my spending has caused some fights. We've argued back and forth. We've had our disagreements about like my spending and things like that.
Let's keep moving.
And so, but I think it's just something we've all had. Like, it's just something that most relationships have, is we kind of had some back and forth and some disagreements. As long as our bills are paid and things are good, and we're not in the negative, and we can keep our bills paid and keep food in the house and things like that, we're in a pretty good spot. I've cut back a huge chunk of that spending, especially like on comics. For a long time, comics was taking over, and it was a problem, and it caused a lot of tension between us. I get a monthly comic hold. I have a monthly comic hold with Midtown Comics. They ship me my comics monthly. I pay about $50, a month for my comics, and that's it. Game-wise, I don't buy a lot of games now. I had a pretty huge backlog. I was buying games just to buy games for a long time, and I was buying like figures and stuff for a long time just to buy figures. Same with like Pokemon cards. I was buying Pokemon cards because I enjoyed opening packs, but at the end of the day, like, it was pretty wasteful, like gambling, style purchasing, and so I've stopped a lot of that. Especially now that we have a house, I've been trying to kind of like keep a better eye on my accounts and like what I'm spending stuff on. So we've had our struggles, but we're in a good place, and we've been together 14 years. This year in December will be 14 years. So we've definitely had like our back and forth and kind of like figuring out where things should be. And I'd say, yeah, we're in a good place now. Early in the relationship, struggle, but now we're good. And as long as things are paid and we're not struggling, she's okay. And you know, she has her income, I have my income. We both pay, like I pay the bills, she pays some bills, and then whatever else is left is what we use for, you know, whatever we want. She likes to be frugal and save her money and create savings, and I have some money in savings. I have money in, you know, 401k and stuff like that, and then I spend, you know, my money on like going out, going to concerts and things like that. So we've found balance, if that helps. Last year, yeah, it was, I was getting bad for a while. Like I was just buying games to buy games, and I had to stop, like, because there was games I was like, at some point I looked at some of the games I had and I was like, you know what, I'm probably never gonna play this. Dude, I hope you find it, and I'm sure you will. Like I'm absolutely positive you will. It took me a long time to get to where I'm at. I was in a very dark place in my 20s. I was not in a good place at all when I was younger, in my teens and stuff. It put me in some very bad spots. And then my ex put me in a very dark place and had just left me really not in a great mental place. I met my partner while we were working at Blockbuster. So we started dating while we were both working at Blockbuster, and about 5-ish, 6 months later, my mom was moving back to Florida to take care of my grandma. So she's moving back to Florida to help take care of my grandma and, you know, be around some friends and stuff she had in Florida. So my options were, you know, be homeless or move to Florida with my mom. And I had just started dating my partner. My partner's family said, hey, no, come move in and live with us. So I did. And we have been together ever since. About to turn 30 and you're still not in a good place. I mean, I think it takes time, and I think it's how you look at like what a good place would be and what's not. I think my perspective on like looking back on it, like certain things, is definitely changed. It's changed a lot. Like in my 20s, like I had never planned to make it out of my 20s. I had honestly never planned to hit my 30s. I had never planned to. So, like, that mindset that I had really, really fucked things up for me. I ruined my credit. I had never planned to buy a house. I had just planned to. I had honestly planned to unalive myself by the time I was 30. And that changed, obviously. You know, here I am at 37, and it was a journey. It was a learning experience. I don't know that I necessarily put it that way, but it definitely gives you a different perspective on life. And I think, you know, some of the things that I was looking at in terms of like, well, I don't have this, or I'm not doing this, or some of that stuff, like, it very much affected why I never really thought of doing that. Like, I job hopped a lot. I didn't really have, or didn't really think that I had skills that could really put me in a place where I'd ever have a job that was kind of like worth anything to me. I ended up at this company that I don't even remember applying for. They called me one day and said, hey, do you want to come in for an interview? I went in for the interview. They said, hey, okay, we want you to do this sort of support work for this very, very pointless product. That product was getting shut down, and it was because it was garbage. Nobody fucking wanted it. And I got moved over to doing support for actual software support, and I spent 5 years there. So from the time I was... I was about 23, 24 when I started working there. I was about 29 when I stopped working there. Because I've been at Unity for 4 years now, almost 5 years now. It was rough. Like it was definitely a rough time, and losing that job really messed with my head. But the fact that I was able to keep a job for 5 years really helped my outlook on things. And then of course, my partner and I, pushing through and sticking together through all of that. Like it's been a wild ride. And it's definitely changed my outlook on things. Like I used to look at the world in a very negative way. And I used to look at a lot of things in a very negative way. And I can't say that it was all, some of it, I said things for shock value. I tried to be that, like, trolly edgelord kind of, like, asshole guy on social media. And that wasn't right. There's things I said and did that absolutely were not okay. And I can't take those back. I can only try to be a better person and grow and move away from that. My outlook on different people and like the LGBTQ community and stuff is very negative. And some people kind of like open my eyes to like, well, look at it in this light, and I've tried very hard every day to make up for the things that I've said and did. It's part of the reason why, the Singularity community is what the Singularity community is because I want it to be a safe place for all people. And when I say for all people, I mean LGBTQ, POC, nerds. I don't mean fucking neo-Nazi assholes, fascist fucking dipshits and stuff like that. It's also, a little bit of why I do some of the trolling that I do on social media and calling that shit out, because if someone hadn't called me out on it and someone hadn't like pointed and like opened my eyes to like the shit I was saying and how hurtful and how wrong that shit was, like I never would have changed. I never would have met the people that I know today. I never would have, I wouldn't have made some of the friends that I have now. And yeah. I also grew up with a very closed worldview, so to be honest, it was not the greatest outlook on things, and I've had to change that a lot. Well, my dude, it's definitely not a plan that you want to follow through with. I can tell you that right now. Like, as cheesy as that fucking, like, look, I get the sentiment behind it, and I get where people are coming from when they say it. I get what they're trying to put out there when they're saying it. To me, it's the most cheesy fucking Hallmark fucking shit ever, and I hate hearing it. But like, if you can keep your head up, if you can fucking push through, then dude, it gets better. It really does get better. Sometimes it's just having to wade through so much goddamn shit, and it weighs you down. And I get it. Like, I was so weighed down by so much shit for so fucking long that I didn't realize, like, what was around me and the world around me and how cool and amazing and what amazing shit was around me. I was cynical, I was hateful, I was a fucking I mean, I still am a bully to an extent. Like, if you say dumb shit on fucking social media, I'm gonna fucking bully the shit out of you. But not in a way that, like, we see shit these days. Like, I get the, like, struggling to see things up close in the present, because when you have some of those situations weighing on you, it's so fucking hard to see what's around. The only thing I can say on that is to, like, step back, and if you have to, reach out to somebody else to get better perspective on a situation. Because for the longest time, I didn't have that, and I stewed in it. And it didn't make things better for me. I saw almost every stressful situation I ran into as kind of like an end-all be-all panic situation, and it took me a long time to kind of like find some chill and step back and try to get some of, you know, like one thing I had to learn, as lame as the phrase is not my circus, not my monkeys. Like, I had to learn, you know, there's things that I can control, and I need to, you know, worry about what I can control in a situation and what's out of my control in a situation. And if there's things in a situation that I can do to make things better for myself, then I will work towards those. But if there's things that are largely out of my control in a situation, so like, for example, when I lost my job back in 2017, it was entirely out of my control. I showed up to work every day. I made that job my entire personality. Being the support manager was my entire personality. And losing that job really put me in a depressive state because it's all I knew. Like, I felt like I had lost who I was. And I had to learn that work, who I am for work, and who I am outside of work are two very different people. And it's helped me immensely. So like, yeah, I love working for Parsec. It's an amazing software. It's an amazing company, and I've met some awesome people. I've made some great friends from places I never would have imagined I would make friends at. I've gotten to go places I probably never would have gone before, and tried things I've never would have gotten to do before. Before my boss was let go early last year, he did something for me that I never dreamed I would have gotten to do. And he approved a fucking expense for me to fly to California. It was only for a day. For me to fly to California with one of our sales guys and go to the fucking Blizzard campus. I got to go to Blizzard and walk around and see the fucking offices, see the statues. I met with their IT team and got to work with Blizzard, which is a company I work with all the fucking time. I grew up with their games, but I got to go to Blizzard. And that's something I never would have gotten to do if it wasn't for Parsec and Unity. But outside of that, I, like, my life isn't, like, I don't want to do support outside of, like, in my day-to-day life. So, you know, one thing you've got to do is you've got to learn to kind of compartmentalize certain aspects and remember, like, what you can affect and what you can control, work on doing. But if it's something outside of your control, like people making a decision, oh, we're gonna let you go from this job that you've been to for 5 years because we don't have that position anymore. And here's the shit thing. It's not that they didn't have the position anymore. They wanted to hire one of their friends. They wanted to hire one of their church buddies for that position so that they could have the managerial title. And that's why I lost my job. And in a panic mode, because I had severance paperwork that I had to sign, they told me that I only had a week to sign the severance paperwork. Like, they gave me a very short time frame that I could sign that severance paperwork, and it was illegal. The amount of time they gave me was illegal. It was not enough time for me to hire legal representation to go over that paperwork and to see what was going on. And in hindsight, I probably could have had a case for wrongful termination, because literally weeks after, they hired somebody else for my position. So weeks after they told me they no longer needed that position, that they had restructured and eliminated that position, they hired somebody else. And so, in my panic, I took the severance. I didn't have anybody look it over. I didn't think of talking to legal because I was in such a panic, like, oh, I lost my fucking job. What am I gonna do? We need this money. I have car payments. I have, you know, all this shit. So I just panicked and took the money. And a couple weeks after we got severance, and I had been sitting at home and binge watching The fucking Office, I thought about what I could control and what I could do. and I took some of that fucking severance money, and my partner and I went to Japan for a week. And
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
it was one of the most amazing experiences I ever had, and I wouldn't have had it had I not lost that job, and I wouldn't have had it had I not decided to work that job in the first place. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with this story, other than like just focus on what you can control and try not to stress yourself out about things that you can't control. If you've got someone in your life that's being a fucking toxic jackass, and honestly, it's probably better to cut that out of your life. I understand your situation. It's not necessarily the easiest to do that, but you know, you can't control who that person is going to be or how that person is going to be. And honestly, it's not worth your feelings. It's not worth your energy. It's not worth being dragged down to let that person drag you down. If that makes sense.
Let's keep moving.
Stay sharp, even against
Okay, you won't live to. We won't fail.
Ooh, that hurts.
Stay sharp, even against trouble.
Let's keep moving.
That's fair. I mean, I'm a very closed off person a lot of the time. I did not talk about stuff that I was dealing with when I was in the military. When I was in the military, one, I probably should have never gone into the military. It just was not for me. Now, that's not to say I didn't get something out of it. I definitely learned some more self-confidence. I definitely learned to be more confident and to, you know, I gained inner strength, essentially, from joining the military and going through basic training. And when I was on my way to basic training, I was a fucking mess. I absolutely was scared to death. I didn't think it was something I could do. I didn't think it was something that I would ever be able to accomplish. And 6 weeks later, I graduated. I graduated basic training. And not only did I graduate basic training, we graduated as an honor flight. We graduated as one of the best groups of training out of all of the people training at that time. So my flight was the top dogs of the time. And we had honor flight. And, you know, it was rough. It was definitely an experience. And it's not one that I would necessarily do again, but it's not one that I would go back and not do, because of where it's gotten me now. When I was out of basic training and out of tech school, the base I ended up at was not a good place for me. It was a very toxic environment. I was gaslit a lot and didn't realize what was happening at the time, but it was definitely a level of hazing and gaslighting that went on that to an extent where, like, I would say something and those words would get twisted back at me and then parroted back at me like I was lying. And then, you know, it went on like this for a long time. And finally I'd reached a point where I thought, I just can't fucking do this anymore. And I ended up in the hospital. I ended up in the hospital for about a week on watch because I was suicidal. And that, you know, after I came back, they sent me home. There was a bunch of compounding things to why they sent me home. But I think the fact that I ended up having to go to the hospital for the reasons I did was probably one of those deciding factors. And it left me in a very bad mindset and a very bad headspace for a long time. And that's kind of what influenced my plan in the for my 20s and things. And I just didn't really talk to people about it. I didn't open up about it. One, because in the military, if I, like, anytime I tried to talk about anything, I felt like I was going to be gaslit. and it was going to be turned against me, and their words were being put in my mouth, and I didn't want that. So I just stopped talking to people about shit. And it's not good. It like holding everything inside all the time. It not only does it have super negative effects on your actual physical health, but it's not good for your mental health. I'm no psychologist. Like, I can't sit here and diagnose and be like, well, you know, this is the reason for this. Like, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a shrink. But the one thing I can do is fucking listen. So, you know, if you need to talk, my Discord is always open. I'm always around. I might be asleep. It might take me a little while to respond, but fucking my Discord is always open. I'm always around to discuss things and help out with shit. So, you know, if you've got to get something out there, if you got to just fucking vent, fuck, absolutely go for it and fucking vent. Like, I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna say shit. I will try to give advice the best I can, but clearly, you know, I'm fucking dementia rambling now, so it's probably what will happen then.
Let's keep moving. This won't take long. Okay. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Good old streaming that. And actually, one thing, you know, I get, you know, it may not be the best for everybody. Situations are always different. One thing that's kind of helped me, because I didn't have a lot of social outlet. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to. I kind of, you know, was always at work or at home. Wasn't really like socializing, hanging out with people, talking to people, and things like that. The one thing that really helped me was streaming. So when I first started streaming, I started streaming just to have a social outlet and just to have, you know, chill, play games, and build a little community and talk to people. And, you know, weirdly, I ended up building 2 communities. One kind of fell off because I stopped solo streaming and, you know, was doing technically 3 communities. If we want to look at the other place that got shut down, you know, we had 3 communities. I helped build 2 of those. One is my secondary home. So I definitely met the social thing, and hey, maybe I can rebuild it here, and that's kind of what I'm hoping, is to rebuild the social community here and see where things go. I think we'll use this damn thing. 512. What do you want to bet? We have to use it 800 times to get the title. Wait, is everything tempered? Yeah. Ooh, excuse me. We don't get a whole lot off of some of these, but I'm just going to keep tempering them until... I have a ton of crystals, and then we'll sell those, and maybe hopefully we'll have built up enough. So I think in order to max out the levels of the shops, you have to spend like 1 million gold in each shop. Ooh, can we make a mincemeat sauce pasta? Let's go. Anything else? We have 2 lefties and righties. I don't know that we need 2 of those, but okay. We can make 15 hairpins, and then we can sell those hairpins for profit. So it costs 360 to make them. I'm looking for a hub to hang out and chill. The guys at Singularity are fine, but I'm not much of a TTRPG person. I'll dabble, but that's not my main thing. I have a group I frequent daily, but I need a second or third online space. So I mean, Singularity, it does have a lot of the TTRPG people, but we're branching out. We definitely have a gaming channel. We have like a movie and TV channel, a writing channel if you're into writing. Like, it's my goal for Singularity was for it to be kind of an all space, not just a TTRPG space. And there's all sorts of content we want to create there. You know, one thing that we want to do is build on doing like some podcasts where we talk about, you know, 80s and 90s shows and, you know, gaming stuff. So there's definitely a little bit of something for everybody. Content wise, yeah, right now they're doing the TTRPG thing. Singularity was actually just kind of, honestly, like, Singularity was born, like, it's a phoenix out of the ashes, and it happened very quick. God damn it, I keep meaning to change that title. It happened very quickly. When everything went down with the other place, we didn't really have a community left, and so we kind of just built Singularity as quickly as we could, and we're still trying to get it figured out, you know, a couple years later, because we just had to go very quickly. I try to stream, but keeping up with it is a hassle, despite it helping me out a lot. I get that. It can be tedious there. So when I started, I started strong. I pushed through. I had built a pretty small community. I averaged usually like 10 to 12 on a high, maybe 15 viewers, and I would get raids of hundreds of viewers. I had some other friends that I had made that were pushing for partner that would raid me with 100 people, and, you know, on those nights I would stay on longer and play longer. And then I lost my job and had to, you know, find a new job, and that killed my streaming schedule. I wasn't able to stream anymore. I wasn't able to keep up with it. And, you know, not having that community anymore, not having that kind of success that I was seeing, really demotivated me, especially when I would try to stream, and I would look for, like, popular games, and I would try to stream. So I tried to do, like, Final Fantasy runs and stuff, and, you know, not really having people come chat with me, and just kind of like, I felt like, why am I just sitting here talking to myself? And so I just stopped streaming. And one of the things that has always helped me is doing something creatively, and I needed a creative outlet. And so I was like, you know what, I really should just get back to streaming. And so here I am. You know, it's probably not like, oh, the end all be all. Like, I know there's definitely going to be people out there that this content isn't for. I know there's definitely going to be people who could care less. But I'm sure there's people out there who would love to sit back and watch some dude delve as deeply into the depths of madness as he possibly can, killing the same 5 enemies over and over and over again for hundreds of thousands of millions of fucking experience for no real fucking reason other than he's lost his goddamn mind. So it's do whatever is, you know, in your power that you can do. If there's one thing that one piece of advice that I can give you, or one thing that I can try to encourage you to just keep doing, man, is don't give up on your fucking art. You have some of the most amazing goddamn artistic talent, and you do some of the most awesome fucking art. Don't give up on that art, man. Really appreciate you streaming, man. We wouldn't be here either had you not done this. Hey, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep pushing through, and I'm gonna keep doing crazy shit. And I'm gonna find games to play and keep talking to everybody, and I'll be here every day. That's my goal, is to stream as much as possible this year. And right now, it's to make it to 30 days. If I can get in the habit of streaming for 30 days, that, you know, they say that is a habit that'll stick, and I want to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm not looking to become the next Ninja. I don't want to be a fucking dipshit like 90% of the fucking kick streamers. I just want to play fucking JRPGs and shit post or shit talk fucking terrible shows like Life with goddamn Louie with people. That's what I want to do. Also, because I don't think I've said it yet on any of my solo streams, I need people to be very fucking aware of Tim Allen. Tim Allen murdered Jonathan Taylor Thomas in cold blood. When Jonathan Taylor Thomas asked Tim Allen to leave the show Home Improvement. And that's all there is to it. And I've had people actually outside of Singularity, where I keep posting this dumb fucking conspiracy theory, shit posted as well. And I want that conspiracy to grow. My goal is to not necessarily, like, I don't want to get sued by Tim Allen, but I at least want a fucking cease and desist letter from Tim Allen. I will frame it. It'll be one of the greatest days. I will have an entire celebratory stream that I got ceased and desist by Tim fucking Allen. Tim Allen has never felt well with me. Look, man, the dude, I will say this right now, because this is how crazy the conspiracy theory has gotten. It has just built up lore since I started it. Tim Allen was DB Cooper. He stole that money and jumped out of the plane and changed his identity. He became an actor in Hollywood and got addicted to cocaine. And he didn't want to give up the fame and the life of fame. He wanted to hold on to the show Home Improvement for as long as he could. And thus, when Jonathan Taylor Thomas said, "It's time for me to leave, I want to go to college and do other things with my life," Tim Allen killed him in cold blood and buried his body in the set. There's a reason why the show was never the same. Tim was never the same. And it's because of what he did to Jonathan Taylor Thomas. And you're right, they can't disprove it. I think that's what makes this one so great. And I think, like, honestly, like, I love just goofy ass fucking conspiracy theories. Like, when people get way too serious about stuff, it's not fun. Conspiracy theories are supposed to be stupid fun to me. And so I love just fucking goofy ass theories. My other theory, the only other conspiracy theory I have, people kind of get a little upset about because just of how the content of the theory. I'll try to explain it here the best I can. I am not a physicist. Let me preface that. Absolutely, I am not a physicist. I understand basics of string theory, and I understand the basics of, like, in string theory, it's believed that everything is made up of resonating strings of energy, and you know, wavelengths. So this theory is based heavily off of that alone, just that everything resonates at a certain level. Now, we have grown up, and people are started pointing out Mandela effects, all sorts of Mandela effects. The most famous Mandela effect, is it the Berenstain Bears or the Berenstain Bears? And people swear up and down it was the Berenstain Bears. And that's, you know, a Mandela effect. And I believe that our timeline, that our reality shifted. But I believe that it shifted on 9/11. I believe that the Twin Towers were acting as a tuning fork that kept our resonating energy resonating at a certain level, and when that tuning fork was destroyed, our resonating energy merged with another reality's resonation, and that's where things diverged. So we were on one path, that path changed, and now our resonating strings are different. Yeah, that's the theory.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
And it's not like I'm not trying to be offensive with it. I don't mean it to be offensive in any way. Some people are kind of like, yeah, that's kind of a yikes one, but like the best way to explain why we have the Mandela effects that we have is because we shifted. We slid in reality. Our reality changed. X-Files, they absolutely could be. Like, we have scientists now saying, like, they've discovered alternate realities. They've discovered alternate and more dimensions. So I don't doubt that, you know, a multiversal theory is not ever something to discount, as crazy as it sounds. Also, just now thinking about it, going back to the question of like spending and with my partner. Recently I got into Lorcana, which is like Magic the Gathering for fucking Disney. And not something my partner is entirely happy with, just because of the cost and the fact that it's just cards that get opened, and yeah. So, there's that. Don't get into card games is the best advice I can give anybody. It is, like, I mean, I'm sure that there's a way that it could easily be disproved if I knew and understood, like, physics better, especially, like, I guess quantum physics and, like, string theory. I'm pretty sure that, like, I could easily prove myself wrong. But my knowledge of, like, trigonometry and, like, quantum physics is so base level, it's so basic that I don't really understand anything on too high of a level to really, like, solidify or disprove the theory. I only like the Dawn Duck, but TCGs are trap for me, so I stay clear of that. Yeah, I used to collect Magic a lot. I did Pokemon for quite a while. And they can be money pits for sure. I'm one of the things though is, so I got a bunch of Lorcana stuff for Christmas from my brother and my mom, because my brother is going through a rough time in his life, and he, you know, wants to do other things and get into other things. So we're looking at trying to play Lorcana. So I'm learning the game, and I'm trying to learn how to build decks. And, you know, one thing I always wanted to do when I played Magic is I always wanted to participate in some Magic tournaments and, you know, like a Magic championship. But the fucking power creep in Magic, by the time that I was at a place where I could actually, like, buy cards and try to build out a deck for that, it was like way, like, I had spent too many years not playing Magic to be able to get to where I wanted to be to play in, like, a tournament. But I'm hoping that Lorcana is still early enough and there's not, like, a bunch of ban lists and restricted lists and shit like that I could play in some Lorcana tournaments. And I have all of the cards so far. I need to look and see if a deck with them would be viable. But I've pulled enough cards that I think I could build a Treasure Planet deck, and see how that works out. Because fucking Treasure Planet is one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. And just the fact that they had enough cards in there and enough characters from Treasure Planet, like, I was so fucking stoked. I won't say the full name because the expired orange Cheeto. Hey, fair enough. That dude's a fucking sack of shit. I have so much that I could say on that, but probably should not say on that. Same with his melon husk of a fucking vice president. And I'm not talking the one that was voted for. I'm talking about the one that bought the vice presidency.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. Victory is ours.
Yeah. Alonia.
This won't take long. Okay, go. Let's keep moving.
I mean, if I have to listen to one more person try to claim that dumb motherfucker,
That was hardly worth dirtying.
what he did was because of autism, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind, because no, it fucking wasn't. It absolutely was not.
Take long. Okay, you won't live to regret it. That was
I'm
hardly
gonna
worth dirtying my blade.
I'm gonna say this right fucking now, because I keep asking who the fuck wanted Life with Louie. Who the fuck as a child was like, I'm gonna watch the Louie Anderson cartoon. I could tell you who fucking watched the Louie Anderson cartoon. This is probably one of the greatest insults I could ever fucking throw at somebody, because that fucking cartoon is so goddamn fucking terrible, and I have such a fucking burning hatred for the Louie Anderson fucking cartoon. Elon fucking Musk is... Elon Musk watched Life with Louie. I can't. Look, that motherfucker, I hate it. I hate... It was whiny, nasally, like, I don't understand what the fucking point of that cartoon was. It was so goddamn bad. So bad. Like, there's a YouTube series where they do the, like, boardroom pitch for movies. Like, I would love to have seen the boardroom pitch for that fucking cartoon. Like, I want to know how much cocaine people were doing in the Fox offices. They were doing a Bill Cosby's Fat Albert where they were poking fun at his childhood stories. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but, like, let's be real. By the time Louie Anderson came out, nobody was watching Fat Albert. Nobody wanted to watch Fat Albert, except people who grew up with Fat Albert. And by then, like, what, Fat Albert was a 70s cartoon, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be wrong. But we went through the 80s and a good portion of the 90s before we got the fucking Life with Louie. I want to say Life with Louie was like 94, 95. Comedians popular parents, kids want yeah. But I mean, at that time though, like, dude, RoboCop. I remember RoboCop. Fucking, we had some wild ass cartoons. I don't remember the Rambo cartoon. I don't think I ever watched Rambo, but I do remember the RoboCop one. I also remember a Bill and Ted cartoon. I don't know if that was a fever dream or if that was a real thing. But I do remember, and I remember a Back to the Future cartoon, but again, that could have been a fever dream. The Beetlejuice cartoon, I'm not a fan of Beetlejuice, but I mean, I remember that being a thing. Apparently, I think, and I could be wrong here, that there was also a Gremlins cartoon. Dude, Toxic Avenger. I fucking loved Toxic Avenger as a kid. Both the fucking movies, which are movies I absolutely should not have been watching as a kid. Fucking Nukem High and Toxic Avengers. I loved that as a kid, though. And I remember the cartoon. I remember watching the cartoon.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Stay sharp, even against
Let's keep moving.
How many times have I used Demon Fang? We have got to be close to getting the Demon Fang title, right? 617 times. The perfect example is TMNT. I mean, yeah, TMNT, the comic, that was not what Nickelodeon and the studios turned it into, that's for sure. Then again, did you know that, like, originally, like, a lot of the Nickelodeon cartoons, like Rugrats, were not necessarily made for Nickelodeon. They were actually owned originally by MTV, in the studio behind MTV.
won't live to regret this. We won't fail.
And there was one I miss the days. Yeah, dude, Klasky Cusco, they were fucking wild. Some of the jokes and fucking Rugrats was definitely over people's heads. Hold on. My sinuses are bugging me. I feel like my nose is like draining.
We won't fail.
I miss the old Cartoon Network where they would do like in between shows, they would do the 15 minutes like cartoons. Yeah, Dr. Lipschitz. Where they would, I miss on Cartoon Network where they would do, like, fucking, you would see, like, and sometimes it was just on repeat, like, they didn't have a full show, so they didn't have a bunch of episodes for it, but that's where, like, some of the classic Cartoon Network shows came from, was those little things. Like, originally, before Powerpuff Girls blew up and got their own show, they only had the one episode that they would play in between episodes of other stuff.
Won't take long.
I miss Two Stupid Dogs and Secret Squirrel. I loved Secret Squirrel. I miss Boomerang. The channel Boomerang. I used to watch, like, I sleep so fucking weird. So my sleeping habits are just absolutely fucked up. And I have sleep apnea, so I snore really bad. And I would wake up and I would go to sleep on the couch so that my partner could sleep and I wouldn't, be snoring all night, keeping her awake. And I would turn on Boomerang, and it would be Scooby-Doo, and I would fall asleep watching Scooby-Doo every night. And then Boomerang just stopped. Like, one day I went to turn it on and it was gone. Like, we just didn't have that channel anymore. I couldn't find the channel anymore. And I was like, what the hell happened here? So now I go to sleep to, excuse me, fucking, yeah, the shorties. Wasn't it like cartoon, or am I thinking of something different there?
Won't take long. Okay. No one can stand before my blade. Won't take long. Okay. You won't live to regret. No one can stand before my blade.
Yeah, I used to love watching like the whole like cartoon stuff. Like, that really stuck with me.
Won't take long.
What was I saying? Oh, but now I go to sleep to fucking King of the Hill. I'm waiting for Hulu to be like, yo, you have restarted King of the Hill and watched every episode like 1,000 times. Are you okay?
Won't take long.
And let me tell you right now, as much as I've watched King of the Hill, every time I watch through King of the Hill, I start to hate Peggy Hill more and more and more. Peggy Hill is one of the worst fucking characters in any show I have ever watched.
Victory is ours.
I couldn't sleep with an analog TV being on all night, but now I can sleep with a DTV. Yeah, I mean, I slept with our analog TV on, but usually that was like, so, because we didn't have cable a lot of the time on our analog TV, it was, whatever, so for, I mean, I'm not a huge Mike Judge fan, but something about King of the Hill, like, For a while I was having really bad night terrors, and so I would wake up like absolutely like just I don't even know how to explain it. Like it was just fucking night terrors, and it was bad. And I would wake up, and then I ended up like on Cartoon Network with King of the Hill on, and I would turn King of the Hill on, and then fucking I'd fall asleep again, and then I'd be okay. And so I just kind of got into the habit of King of the Hill. What I used to fall asleep to, like I said, was Scooby-Doo. Before that, when I would like fall asleep like with our analog TV to different shit, it was A Knight's Tale. For one entire summer, all I watched on repeat was A Knight's Tale, and that was because I was too lazy to take it out of the VCR, and our VCR would automatically rewind. So I'd let the movie play through, and then it would rewind, and I'd watch it again, and I would just watch it over and over and over again. And then after A Knight's Tale, when we got our PS2 and we had some DVDs, I had a copy of Escaflowne, and we would watch Escaflowne. I would watch Escaflowne on repeat every night. And then after a while, somebody actually stole my copy of Escaflowne. I was very upset about that because I fucking loved that movie. I ended up watching the Cowboy Bebop movie every night, and then yeah, just kind of went from there. Dude, I fucking love Escaflowne. And I have the movies. I have this shit on Blu-ray now. Like, I got them for Christmas. I fucking love Escaflowne. I have the entire collection of Yu Yu Hakusho on Blu-ray. I have all of Dragon Ball Z on Blu-ray. I have some of the Dragon Ball Super movies. I have Duel on Blu-ray. And Duel is one of my all-time favorite animes, so I was really excited when they released that on Blu-ray. Put it in Spanish. It's one of the best shoujo fantasy genres I've ever seen. Dude, I don't know what it was about it, like, because I think the first time I saw Escaflowne, it was on like Fox Kids or WB when they tried to air that series that way, and the dub was not good. But the movie, I saw the movie and I fell in love with the movie. And so I have the entire series. I think I have the series. I gotta double check. I know I have the movie though, because I got that for Christmas one year. Yeah, the fucking re-edit. Have you unlocked anything new yet? No. We have mastered all of Malik's titles. He has nothing new for us to learn. Because I don't think he's been using... Let's go see. Let's see. Arts. He hasn't... Oh. Why is that on? How the fuck do you use that? During an Elith burst, hold LB mid-combo. Whoa. Calm down there. So he has two moves here that he could be spamming, and he's not. Probably because I'm killing things so fast, if I'm being honest. Fire Emblem Awakening and multi-classing all my hero characters. I don't think I played Awakening. I've played a lot of Fire Emblems, I just don't remember which ones I've played. Started on the DS, I think? I want to say I started on the DS. But I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember how far back I went. I love tactics games, dude. Disgaea is probably my all-time favorite. Super Robot Wars is really good.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
You know, then you got like Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre. I wanna go back and play Tactics Ogre, but I wanna like take like one of the not hero units and then just see how far I can push them. Dude, I love the Super Robot War games. It's kind of sad that it never really got like super popular here. Anything new? Anything new? Nope. Keep going.
Stay sharp, even against jump blast.
We won't fail.
I think just how gritty it is. Hard to explain. Like, I thought it was just a fun game overall, but I think, you know, it's very much a nostalgia thing. You know, people played it on the SNES, and then people played it again on the Nintendo 64, and then I think the next time it came out was years later on the PSP. It's a solid like tactics game, and the class growth is okay. The combat is okay, and I think people really enjoyed the story. Like, the story isn't bad. Oh yeah, it was GBA. There was one on the GBA. One day I will absolutely sit down and play the first tactics game I ever played, and the first game where I learned kind of like RP. Like, I never played an RPG before, so I didn't really know about like Final Fantasy. Like, I had never played a Final Fantasy game. I had never played any sort of RPG game. But I did play my very first, I guess, RPG, very first tactics game. All of that was Vandal Hearts on the PS1. I played Vandal Hearts on the PS1, and that game, mind-blowing.
Victory is ours.
Legend of Dragoon on PS1. I never got a chance to play Legend of Dragoon. It was one of the PS1 RPGs I have never played. We were visiting my stepdad, so my brother and sister's dad, and he had a PlayStation. And so we would, you know, for a couple summers, my mom sent us up there for the summer. So we had went up there, and, you know, we had the Super Nintendo, but like most of our games for the Super Nintendo, we had Super Mario, we had Mega Man X, and that was really it. Like, we didn't have a ton of Super Nintendo games. We had one called Wild Guns. My brother and I loved to play. Super Mario All Stars. But we didn't have any RPGs, so I'd never played an RPG before. And so we were at a flea market in Seattle this summer, and we found Vandal Hearts. Someone was selling Vandal Hearts for like, I remember it was like $9 or $10 at this flea market, and so we picked it up and we took it home. And like I said, I'd never played an RPG. I never played a tactics-based game before. We booted up Vandal Hearts, and that game was fucking... I was like, damn, this is cool. And so we played Vandal Hearts like fucking crazy. And one of these days, I will get to a Vandal Hearts stream, and we will fucking nerd out on some Vandal Hearts. And then later, like, so that was the only tactics game I played for a long time. Then I got into like other RPGs like Final Fantasy VI, Final Fantasy VII, you know, 8, 9, Kingdom Hearts, and kind of played everything but tactics RPGs. And then a friend of mine in high school was very into RPGs, and he would play anything RPG. It didn't matter if it was, you know, Final Fantasy, like turn-based, if it was tactics, what. And he actually, so the next big tactics game that I played was a PS2 game from the same people who do Disgaea. It was called La Pucelle Tactics, and that game was wild. That game was a fucking weird-ass story with fucking weird-ass mechanics, tactics-based, but La Pucelle Tactics. So I played the hell out of that with him for a while. And then I discovered Disgaea, and I absolutely love Disgaea. Those games have just the right amount of humor and story, and the combat is fun. So I've played every Disgaea title.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
And maybe someday I'll play them through stream. I don't really know. I think like my favorite is Disgaea 5. I think that's one They were really, really solid to me. I did not really care for Disgaea 6, but Disgaea 7 has been fucking amazing. The Prinny PSP games released on the Switch. The Pretty ones, I never played the Prinny ones. And I haven't really played any of the other Nissa titles aside from La Pucelle and Disgaea.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
If you get the chance, I would say Disgaea 5. I think Disgaea 5 had the best story. It had the most fun characters. Like, I loved Disgaea 5 out of all of them that I played. To the point that, like, I was still playing it for years on my Switch. Like, it was the only game I played for a long time on my Switch. I think I had like 300 or 400 hours in just Disgaea 5 alone. With, I'd say, a good 250 of those hours being after I completed the game. Like, I was just doing dumb shit. No. Each Disgaea is its own story. So none of the Disgaea games are connected. They're kind of like Final Fantasies in that sense. They all have an overall theme of that it's kind of the same. Like they all take place in the underworld, and it's all kind of about like hell and you know, like Prinnies are the same in every game, where their Prinnies are the tortured souls like that get sent down to hell for, you know, being bad. And, you know, that kind of stuff. So there's similarities between all the games, like the Prinnies and things like that, but each game is a different underworld, in a sense, and different characters. Except for Disgaea 1 and Disgaea 2. And then there's Disgaea R. Those three continue, or like are one set. So the Laharo one, yeah, Laharo, Etna, and Prinnies, those are Disgaea 1, 2, and then Disgaea R and R2 or D2, something like that. But then like Disgaea 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all different. They do show up, like you can unlock Laharo and stuff in the later games. I remember like in Disgaea 5, I think I have Etna and Laharo, but they don't tie into the main narrative or anything like that. They're just like unlockable characters.
Won't take long. Okay, that was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
We mastered this damn title yet. Actually, I want to see something because it seems like he's just standing there. There we go. No, I don't want to escape. I want to see him. Ooh, Glacial Rain looks fucking sick.
This is what happens when you misjudge your foe.
Hey, no worries. Where are we at? Oh, we're back up to 26. $723 times.
Won't take long. No one can stand before my blade. This won't take long. Okay, gotcha. No one can stand before my blade. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade. This won't take long. Let's keep moving.
40, 50. Okay, so we're getting there. And then notice that one, the Spry Scavenger. Damn, Malik, I wish we would unlock some more titles. Feels like a SP going to waste. Really not have any... I have every title mastered for him. Really do. Damn it.
This won't take long. You won't miss anything. Victory is ours. This won't take long. Okay, gotcha.
Did we get carried away?
I guess what I could do is go set you to manual, set you to auto, and turn all those off. And we control you for a while.
Stay sharp.
That was
No,
hardly
no, no,
worth
no,
dirtying my blade.
Wait. How do I don't remember how I did this. Oh man, I screwed that up. What? I had it. All right, so you. Oh, I forgot to put you on manual. Now I should be able to control back. Dope. Trying to figure out if I can control. No, I want to control you. How do I do that?
Okay, break. Fall. Mow down. Demon Fang. No one can.
All right, we might have a problem because I can't figure out how to control Malik. I'm gonna go see how to switch that around so I can try to get him some titles. In the meantime, set you back to leader. Set your arts back to Demon Fang. And I guess we'll just, change your title. We're just going down the list now and hitting whatever has no star on it.
Stay sharp.
You won't gotcha. We won't fail.
Stay sharp.
And then I'll have to look up if I can control, like how to switch which character I'm controlling so that I can try to get
This won't take long. Demon Fang.
Malik set up on some stuff. Because if I can just start spamming his moves for a while, we can unlock some titles, and it wouldn't feel like all this SP going to waste. But I guess it doesn't really matter since I'm more focused on trying to get all of Asbel's titles. Oh, about the Jim Henson show. I recall seeing a video explaining that one. It was super weird, worse than the Masked Rider. I just came across it last night in like an article. I remember dinosaurs. I don't remember the weird alien one though. I'm a Jim Henson nerd, so I don't know how I don't know about that show.
That was hard.
it was aired for one episode. That is probably why I never saw anything for it. Those, like, how, like, I don't know. We could sit here and talk about how fucking bleak Dinosaurs was. Because that shit was basically the show being like, oh, they caused their own destruction. Like, that's a pretty fucking dark way to end what was a relatively well-received family comedy.
Victory is ours. This won't take long. Okay, gotcha. Demon Fang! That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
I never saw Dinosaurs, but I think I would have hated it as a kid. Appearances mattered to me as a kid, and I don't like the way they look. That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the show was for everybody. I remember we watched some of it. I don't think I ever fully watched the entire show, but I do know like how it ends and stuff. I only vaguely remember watching it as a kid. Like I never went back to it as an adult or anything like that. I mean, people loved it. It was a pretty well received show, but it definitely ended very bleak. Like the whole like, oh, the factory they're working in is what caused the sun to be blocked out and the ice age to happen and all this stuff. Like it went from like this show, kind of like, I don't know. It was Roseanne with dinosaurs, like literally Roseanne with dinosaurs.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Which is another thing, when we go back to talking about Louis fucking Anderson. If Louis Anderson was gonna get a fucking cartoon, of all the comedians, you know, they should have made a fucking Roseanne cartoon. Like, why didn't Roseanne as a comedian get a cartoon? We had to listen to her dumbass on fucking Roseanne for how many fucking years? But we couldn't. They were like, you know what? Of all the comedians, like we didn't get a Fresh Prince cartoon. We didn't get a fucking Tool Time or Tim Allen cartoon. There wasn't a Full House cartoon with, you know, all these comedians out there. Rodney Dangerfield had a number of movies, didn't he? All I can think of is just I can get no respect. Or like Seinfeld? Fucking Seinfeld? How long did fucking Seinfeld go on? And let me tell you one of the worst goddamn shows I've ever seen. Seinfeld and Frasier. Hate them. But neither one of them had their own cartoons. No, it was Louis Anderson. God damn it, Fox. You mean you don't want your Roseanne Barr action figure? Or you know, yeah, with chain smoking action? Dude, Seinfeld was not for me. I could never, like, I could not do Seinfeld.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
You never wanted a Roseanne Connor action figure? Oh, I'm telling you right now, if and when this stream blows up and it's time for action figures, Roseanne Connor is going to be the first action figure I make, and you're getting the exclusive autographed Fail Prime Roseanne Barr action figure. With chain smoking action.
No one can stand before my
Darlene, click the button for a sarcastic remark. I mean, nowadays, look, with how fucking crazy the right wing is and the fucking grifts that they do, I'm surprised there isn't a fucking Roseanne Barr doll that she is trying to sell that just spits out fucking racist, anti-Semitic, homophobic rhetoric.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Also, it was the only time Don Knotts ever animated in Scooby-Doo. Did Don Knotts ever get his own show?
Blade.
Oh, I didn't. You know what? I missed one up there about dinosaurs. The baby. The baby, I think, is what people love the most about that show, and the baby was the most annoying fucking character in that show. So yes, you're absolutely right on hating that baby.
Next, no one can stand before my blade.
He appeared in Johnny Bravo. Really?
You won't live. We won't fail.
I wanna make a shirt that has like a cartoon style Don Knotts on it that just says Don Knotts was the first alpha male.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
A character from Doug was probably based off of him. I could see it.
That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
That's another show that kind of like went through some weird changes. They went from, you know, Nickelodeon to Disney. It would be a very niche joke. I just think
Before my blade.
Don Knotts lovers everywhere would love it. People would be like, "Oh, damn! All right." One of my favorite ways to troll on Twitter right now is when people talk about being an alpha. I go in and I ask them, I'm like, "Oh, this is a gay furry thing, right?"
Blade.
They do not appreciate that. By the way, they get very mad.
This won't take long. We won't fail.
I only have one shirt ever. There's only one shirt that's ever been made of a character that I created, that you did the art for, and that is my D&D character Parrot. I have his art on a shirt. Gotta hit him with a joke so far out there that they get offended for not understanding it. Basically, yeah. From now on though, since I just thought about it again, every time I start seeing people talk about fucking alphas, I'm gonna be like, "Oh, you mean like Don Knotts?"
No one can stand before my blade.
I mean, bro, it's weird people want my stuff drawn. No way. You're like I said very early on in this stream, my dude. Your art is fucking amazing. Don't ever give up on it. You do some of the most amazing fucking work.
That was hard.
And yeah, like the parrot art that you did when we first were like way back in those days, like, dude, fucking amazing. And that's like, I loved that art so much that I went and put it on a shirt. Like, I have my parrot shirt, and I love the fucking parrot art. Like, all of the fucking weird art that we have asked you for over the years too. A fucking meat ladder, my guy. Like, come on, like, it's all just fucking awesome. So never, like, if there's anything I can fucking say is never give up on your fucking art, because you do amazing work.
This won't take long. Gotcha. Victory is ours.
All right, Peter Lore. Whatever works, man. 801. Did we get the title? Did we get a title for that? If I have to use it 1,000... Oh, no. I probably write that right. Yep. Demon Fang Master. Alright. So next up is going to be Shockwave / Master. However, we are reaching the end of the stream for the night. So we're going to get stuff switched over. We're going to get back to the save point. I barely remember drawing it too. Any art I make, I remember what I was doing and where I was. I was at a fair in Dallas, Fort Worth, and my friend was demonstrating glass blowing to a group, and some people huddled over me while I was drawing it. Oh, that's fucking cool. Dude, and glass blowing, like, that shit's cool too. Like, that takes a lot.
Stay sharp, even against
You won't live to regret. Victory is ours.
Alright, running back to the save point, then we'll probably pass it over. I'm willing to bet our raid from last night, he is streaming again, but we will see.
It won't take long. Okay, mow 'em down. Splash. Let's keep moving. It won't take long. Okay, mow 'em down. Next. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
Asbel earned rescue. Asbel will probably master this title pretty quickly.
It won't take long. That was hardly worth dirtying my blade.
I guess one thing I should actually look into is if I don't think it is, like I'm pretty sure they both gain like 100.
It won't take long.
Just to drawings, games, and cartoons.
You won't live. That was hardly worth
Nothing wrong with that.
dirtying my blade.
One project I'm working on, and I want to get some of the chapters done. I have basic outlines and character ideas and stuff. Is I've actually slowly been trying to work on turning Henshin into a novel. I'd like to get that written out and maybe published. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. Kind of an off time is getting Henshin to where I could write it into a novel. I have a whole crazy world to build around that. Alright, let's see if we've got anybody else streaming that we could raid. If not, we'll just call it. But we are ending for the night. I will be back tomorrow night, like usual. Let's see. Do we want to do some... I think he's playing Elder Scrolls Online. Do we want to go? Let's go see Marvel, right? Marvel Rivals? No. Fab Gun, Calamity. Oh, Echoes of Wisdom. Cool. Yeah, no, thanks for coming and hanging out. I'm going to, we'll send a raid over to Malicist. He is playing Windblown, so I will send a raid over to him. Thank you for coming and hanging out tonight. Very much appreciated. I will be back again tomorrow night. And then, of course, I've got stuff planned for Saturday. We've got our really cool stream for Saturday planned. Licelast. Alright. Well, yeah. Well, thank you for coming and hanging out, man. I will catch you tomorrow. I will catch you on Saturday. We're going to watch some terrible, terrible Toku shows from America. We're going to riff track the hell out of them. Hope to catch everybody there. Thank you for hanging out. We're going to send our raid over, and I will catch you tomorrow. Night, everybody.